All right, welcome into episode 37 of the Avetts and Beyond. My name is Todd Emanuele, and I have a very special guest joining me this week. This is a cool one. I've been looking forward to this since we set it up a couple of weeks ago. I have Samuel Austin joining me. Sam is an architect and an artist and an Avett fan. And Sam, thanks so much for coming on with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd. It's great to be here and a totally unique event for me. So it's
This
a new experience.
is this out of your comfort zone? Are you going to be okay? Or
I'm probably, it's probably a little bit of both.
okay.
It's new. I'm excited, but I'm used to talking to people about architecture and painting, and the Avetts.
Well, you're in the right place then.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to sing though? That's the big question.
To sing?
Yeah. You have your
Absolutely
guitar?
not.
No? Well, surprise, that's how we start off each episode. No, so you have to, I'm just kidding. You don't have to sing.
Oh, Mary had a little lamb. That might be one of mine.
Well, of course, if you want to perform, feel free. But so anyway, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. This is going to be fun. We have a mutual friend, Jack Pointer, who
Yeah.
he brought you to my attention, and he said, I think it'd be a cool guest to have on the show. So here you are. Jack had a really good story. I don't have it in front of me here, of course, right now, but you did a painting. Was that last
Yeah.
year, the painting for the Avetts? It was no hard feelings painting that you did.
Yes, that's
First,
true. Uh-huh.
tell us about that, because I know people probably like, oh, that's where I know your name from, or because you did this painting
Sometimes,
last year. Tell me about
yeah.
the whole thing.
So my wife and my wife, well, let's see. Let me back up just a little bit. So my
Sure.
wife is, most people who know me in the Avetts know that my wife's official title in my company is my handler.
Okay.
Um, I'm like spirited pony that she keeps going in the right direction, or a border collie who's staring at the tennis ball and she helps get my play going. And she was initially the person that drew me into the Avetts. My son was her primary go-to person, and then he moved out of the
Oh,
country, and so I got sucked in. This was some years back, and last year she said, "Hey, Sam, why don't we do something? Why don't we do a painting that maybe that will turn into something, and we'll try to raise money for press on
great.
and related to the Avetts." And I said, that sounds like fun. So there was no like, I don't even know if the Avetts still know,
That you did this?
about this.
Oh, I
This
bet you
was a
they
total, this was a totally independent thing that we did. And then my wife knew that Pete Schroth was working on a website called Mega Mega Mega.
do.
And so when I got done with, so I did a painting, and then we turned it. I have, connections that I use to like for printing and for creating really, really detailed images. By detailed, I mean, I had this thing scanned, and the file was 175 gigabytes
Wow.
for just the one file.
Wow.
And so then we had that really high res scan. I color corrected it like I do all the paintings and stuff that I want to see after they sell or whatever, or they leave my studio. And we made a giclée, which is essentially an inkjet print, except that it's archival ink on a really high quality piece of watercolor paper. And so that's what we made. And then we put that in the Avett groups for sale to raise money for press on.
What did you call that again? What
And
did you call the print itself?
it's called a giclée.
Giclée. Okay.
Yeah, it's like an art quality. A lot of people consider it art, and it is art, but it's not. The image was made by me, but then it was
Sure.
able to be reproduced,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And I curated the reproduction of that. And then Jack, he came to my studio. I guess he said it was in 2022. I'm just recalling from the text.
Yeah, no,
So
you're in
they
Boulder,
asked,
Colorado. I forgot to mention that. You're out in Colorado. So he was there for Red Rocks, right?
that's right. He was here and he wanted to see the original, and he'd had some loss in his family, and I showed it to him, and then he bought that. And Jack and I have since become good friends. I saw David Childers play at his house in
That's cool.
Houston. Were you there?
I was not. I was there in spirit.
Uh-huh.
That's one of those.
It
I
would have
live
been
in,
weird
yeah,
if
I
you
live
were
in
there.
central New York. I couldn't get down to Texas that easily. At the stage of life I am right now, it's not easy just to hop on a plane and fly to the other side of the country. But
Yeah.
I wish I could have been
So,
there for that.
another salient point to what you asked is then after I finished doing this, because of this thing I knew that Pete was doing, and I didn't
Hmm.
know Pete at the time. I just reached out to him and I said, "Hey, Pete, would you be willing to put this on your page, and you know, so people could see it?"
Sure.
And he said, "That's a great idea," and he put it on the page, and then that generated a lot of enthusiasm
That's what I was going to
amongst.
ask. How many copies of the print did you actually sell, and how much money went to the press on for that?
Um, I
Do you even know?
Yeah, I do. I don't know about the money. I What I know is that we sold 75, roughly speaking,
Hmm.
prints, and we all the money that we got that we didn't spend on the printing process,
Right.
right, uh, went to press on, and some of it. There was some stuff we learned a lot of things. I personally picked up a lot of the postage to
Sure.
send these things out. We tried to cut costs wherever we could so that we could make a donation. We'll probably try it again.
Oh, that's awesome. I was
And I
not
don't
lucky
know.
enough to get one of those prints, so I'm gonna have to catch you next time you do one of those.
Yeah, there was a limited edition, and they all sold.
Snooze, you lose. That's what they
But
say.
we know it now. We know each other, so you just don't know what's going to
Well, I could shoot you a text now and be like, "Hey, Sam, save me one of those prints,"
Will,
because we know
you know
Jack.
I will.
We
You
know
know
Jack
I
Pointer will
will.
buy the original painting again because that's what he does.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it was just so meaningful, and it
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
same thing for me. I've had the pleasure of listening to a few of your podcasts, and
Oh,
I
thanks.
think I fall kind of like in the bandwidth of a number of your guests. I'm pretty well. I'm For me. I'm always kind of in the bandwidth. I'm an average, very average guy in that way, but where now I forget where I was going with that. Oh, like Jack, I both of my parents died during COVID.
Oh, geez.
Not of COVID, but that
Right.
happened, and then my wife's father died too, and so
Oh my gosh.
that song. That's why I was saying in my email or my text. It's funny that song's on my playlist that I gave you.
Yeah.
It's the most played. It's like the most played song all right.
Well, it's played at
Um,
every single show, that's for sure.
yeah, so it's kind of like the opposite of a deep cut, but
Yeah, but
it's just so meaningful.
I always want the person I have on the show to pick songs that mean something to them, and if that song means a lot to you, it's perfect. I don't care
Yeah,
how
it means
often
a
they
lot.
play it or how often you hear it. If it means
And
something to you, that's the point of what I'm doing here.
yeah, I love it. And I it's kind of funny, like another one of my good friends, Paul Houston. I said to him one day, "Well, what's a deep cut?" I don't know what a deep cut is,
Oh man.
And my wife really keeps the statistics. I'm not statistically oriented.
A deep
Every
cut would
show
be
is
Old
great.
Wyoming. That's a deep cut.
I love Old Wyoming because it was so controversial. It was great, and I love how they handled it. That was classic. And I didn't know that some people didn't think it was funny. I thought it
Yeah,
was totally funny, and we had the T-shirts. We
yeah.
wore
Oh,
them.
absolutely. I have one of them. Vic sent me one of those t-shirts, but yeah, it was all a thing to have fun. And man, he raised a ton of money for a great cause. And
Oh, really?
cause is
That's
he
cool.
raised, I don't know if you heard that he raised like
No.
over, it was like over $8,000 from that,
Oh, wow. That's
and
cool.
it donated it to various charities helping animal shelters and stuff like that. And that's
And,
why Scott Avett and everyone in the band was, why they came through and they played the song in the end, because they knew that Vic was doing something great. And a lot of people
it
got
was
sick of it.
great.
They just didn't have a sense of humor. That's all.
The whole thing was so funny and
Yeah.
awesome. I got a big kick out of it. And you know what's really funny, Todd? I've seen Old Wyoming played live.
Really?
Yeah, before the controversy, and I just said, "Oh, that's kind of cool. I like it." I saw it in Wyoming when they played there.
Well, that's the place they're going to play it, I would guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, I mean, of all the things to really, and if I'm right, Vic's not even from Wyoming, is he?
No, I believe Vic's from Illinois. So he
So,
just picked
you
a
know,
random song that they don't play very often, and he just started
yeah,
pounding them with it, play this song, play this song. And it
yeah,
eventually
it was
worked.
great.
And he
Yeah, it was
raised a
really
lot of
funny.
money for charity. It was great. All
Yeah.
right, so question for you. You and your
Uh-huh.
wife obviously are big Avid fans. Your wife is a bigger fan of the band, I would assume?
Um,
Or how does that
yeah,
work?
yeah. It started with her.
Okay.
She's crazy. Okay, she's crazy.
In a good way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's the love of my life, and she says to be at an Avett concert for her is soul food.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, and
100%.
and I agree. You know, I haven't ever seen a band as many times as I've seen them or been as involved.
It's
And
hard to describe to people
great.
that don't know what it's like to see them live, or just, be into them and their music, because people don't get, like, my wife is not a fan. She doesn't really know any of their music, doesn't know anything. She thinks I'm nuts. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but she doesn't get it. Like, I talk to other people that are fans and they understand. It's like it's
Yeah.
unlike anything I've ever seen in my life before. And I say this all the time on here, but it's just a
Oh,
special
yeah.
place.
Do you know this woman, Kathy Almond,
Yeah, I've seen the name. Yep.
and her husband John? They're just great people, and we went camping with them after the Red Rocks concert.
Nice.
And one of my good friends from college was with me, who loves music, but he just recently got turned on to the Avett Brothers, and Kathy and I got into one of those deep Avett Brothers conversations about all this kind of stuff. And he finally looked over and he said, "You guys, all I can say is this is like word salad." Okay, I don't know what's going on. And then I realized, oh yeah, well, we just kind of like got into our own little zone,
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a
talking
thing.
about the Avets.
So
But
check back with that friend in a few years to see where he is, because if he gets into the band, he'll be in the same situation, same boat.
oh yeah, well, he and I talk, almost every week. So I'll be curious to see, where it goes. But
That's funny. So do you remember where you were, what the first song was when you discovered them? Take me back to that moment where it was like, oh man, this is cool. I like this.
when I first saw them, it was at Red Rocks, and I couldn't tell you the year. I believe this is true. Okay, sometimes what I believe is fiction, my own personal fiction. But I saw them at Red Rocks, and it was a show. I think The Devil Makes Three might have been the opener, but it might have. I don't think it was Billy Strings. I think he was with Green Sky. Anyway, or no, they were an opener for somebody. No, I can't remember. What I can remember is I only knew one song,
Yeah,
and it was Brooklyn. And I had heard, and I don't know the names of the songs too, so it might not be called Brooklyn.
it's not, but that's okay.
You know what I'm talking? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, and I can never remember the names of their songs because they're all different than what's going. It's always some like the name is a deep cut.
Yeah, Brooklyn would be I Am Loving You. That would
I Loving You. Thank
I
you.
Am Loving You.
Yeah. So I did know that song. And when I left, I said to Claire, these guys are going to take some listening time for me because their songwriting, their lyrics are great, but their songwriting's a little bit different than, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, or
Right.
whatever. There's no, the structure is very fluid. And so she knew all the songs by heart,
Right.
but I had slowly gotten them. I've just slowly gotten them over time, and come to admire them a lot for who they are,
Yeah.
how they handle their creativity,
Yep.
and treat other people. Of course, I
Exactly.
listened to your show with Jim Avett,
Which
and
I
I
gotta
love
get Jim
that.
back on again. I gotta get him
And
back.
Jim doesn't know me really, but we've met, and
Yeah,
I saw him at the VFW down in Golden,
that's cool.
um, and I've seen him in other places too.
He and Susie are
So
so nice. They're the nicest
yeah,
people. So nice.
really nice. Yeah, so I was kind of I'm just kind of still a studier, I mean, I love every single concert. It's one of the cool things for me that I was telling Claire is when I started watching the Avets, I was a concert ranker, like, oh yeah, this is the best concert I've ever seen.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Or, oh, this one's better than that one, and I'm not sure about that other one. But this long trajectory of watching them, um, I've overcome that. It's the next concert we're going to go see, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
And
the next one's the best one.
yeah, it's the best one. And now and I've gotten used to uh maybe I'm a complainer sometimes. I'm like, what, this person's singing next to me constantly. Now, one of them's in tune and the other one's not. And I've just gotten used to this crowd singing and stuff and enthusiasm. And I said, okay, yeah, it's concerts, man. If I don't want that, I'll listen to the album.
Right, exactly. It's all part of the game, right? All
Yeah,
part.
so it's been a growth process for me, Todd.
How many times have you seen them?
That's a great question. I did not ask Claire that statistic,
Oh, because she
but it's
keeps track of all
around.
that stuff, huh?
Yeah, I do know, because I said to her, God, I got to quote the right stuff because people that listen to this and they know us and they might check us out on the website. We've been to about 40 shows.
Okay.
About 12 this year.
Wow.
And we travel a lot
That's
to go see
awesome.
them. I've seen a significant part of the country. And I've come to love North Carolina. If I show you around my studio, you'll see one of my North Carolina banjos. I have 3 banjos from independent makers in North Carolina.
That's cool. Do you play?
Yeah, I've really seen a good piece of the country picking them up. It's been fantastic.
That's great. Do you play banjo?
Yeah, I
You're
play the
setting yourself up
banjo.
here now, Sam. You're setting yourself
No,
up.
I won't play it for you. I would have never
man.
played it for you because I am not that musical, Todd.
Okay.
I play the banjo, I play the fiddle, and I play the mandolin. But I'm a hack on all of them.
Next time, we'll get you to play something next time.
I'll really have to practice, because I'm a real hack. It's just that I love it. I was gonna, one thing I was gonna tell you is, yeah, I'm really into the fiddle, and I loved the other one of my other musical inspirations is John Hartford.
Okay.
And I've devoted maybe 20 years of my life trying to learn the fiddle. I've memorized John Hartford's entire catalog, including bootlegs that I own.
Wow. Cool.
And I've met his daughter, and so I guess I was already prone to get sucked into the Avetts.
Tanya on her Patreon page offers fiddle lessons. Like you can pay to get fiddle lessons from her.
Oh my God. I might try that. No, I didn't know that. I'd almost be terrified to take I wouldn't want her to know what a terrible fiddle player.
Well, you got to start somewhere. She is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And she would be an awesome teacher. She would be an awesome teacher. You should totally do that.
That's an interesting idea. I'm going to mention that to Claire. See if she can
do it.
See what
oh my gosh. I don't know if anyone's taking advantage of that on her Patreon, but it's definitely listed as something she does on there or will do.
I would, I just had a great idea. That's great. Because I just gave to my, I have a long-standing relationship with my fiddle teacher here in Boulder. She's been my teacher for 20 years and she bought my house.
Okay.
But I just sent her Black Mountain Rag,
Yeah.
which the Avetts played at a concert. I don't think they've recorded it, but Claire had it on video. I
Right.
sent her that, and I sent her Doc Watson's to learn it. You're making me think I should learn it from Tanya.
I'm
Did I
just
say that right?
saying, just saying.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a learner.
That
I'm
let's do
listening.
it. Let's now, if you do this, you got to let me know and
Yeah.
somehow
Then I
record the
really,
sessions. You can do that. I would love to see it. But
you
perfect.
got
If you've had a teacher for 20 years though, is that a slap in the face of the teacher if you go to someone else?
Oh no,
No?
no, no. She and I take lessons for her no matter what.
Okay.
But I also take online mandolin lessons to help me learn fiddle tunes, and
Cool.
you know, yeah, no, there's no slapping in the face.
So you're more than a hack if you've been playing for 20 years. You've got to be
The slap
semi
in the
good.
face would be to Tanya. I mean, she'd be like, "Who is this guy? Why am I wasting my time
Hey, you're
here?"
paying her. She'd be more than happy to help you if you're actually giving her the money for it. Uh,
Yeah,
all right,
it's
so
funny.
tell me about the whole architecture firm and your artwork. I want to hear about that. We're gonna run out of time here fast because this 40
Mhm.
minutes, it's the fastest 40 minutes in the world because
I
you keep
know.
talking and you lose track of time. But tell me, give me a Cliff Notes version of what you do on a day-to-day basis. And your studio, by the way, looks incredibly cool from what I
It's
can see.
super groovy. I'll have to show you one of my let's see. Well, so yeah, I've painted my whole life. I'm not a when I was formally educated painter. But I've painted my whole life, and I wanted to be a painter originally, but my dad wanted me to get something that was just a little more merchantable, uh, where I could earn a living. And I
Right,
never
sure.
did want to starve. And my first degree is in real estate finance, but it just wasn't feeding me.
Mhm.
So I was the I picked the sites and helped to develop most of the Jiffy Lubes in Washington D.C. and Alabama
Really?
when I was young.
Wow.
Yeah, and after like my 14th Jiffy Lube, I was like, yeah, I think there's got to be something else. And so I decided to become. I went to Nepal. Decided to be. I saw a lot of people suffering there, and I decided I was lucky to be an American with the ability to get money for an education.
Mhm.
So I went back and got my architecture degree because it was creative. It wasn't painting, but it was close. And then I became an architect, and I continued to paint. And then this is my wife and I own this studio. It's a condo in downtown Boulder, and I finished the inside with the help of some friends. And then my business partner and very good friend died, and uh, I started spending a lot more time in my office by myself. And
Mm.
at one point, I had kind of a drinking problem. I don't drink anymore. But what happened at his death was a massive explosion of creativity, which was
Mm.
really odd. And I converted from oil paintings to watercolor because there's a really don't have very good ventilation in here, and the solvents were making me sick. Um, so this creative explosion that happened um, coincided with some other events, and people started seeing my work, and it started becoming popular. And then a woman who I had worked on a poster that I did, she was the graphic genius, and also she had some tech skills and stuff. She moved to Mystic, Connecticut,
Mm.
and opened a gallery for me.
Oh, wow.
There were other artists in there. I was the only American. There was a
Hmm.
Russian and a German, an Italian, myself, and she had this other gal working for her who was an Italian person, a woman who was very charismatic and had a degree in art history, and she loved my paintings, and it just went kind of nuts.
That's great. That's awesome.
And then that gallery sold. So that's how I kind of came, and I came out of the closet kind of as a painter. I hid painting, I thought painting would be damaging to my architecture career, so I didn't tell anybody I was a painter until I was 45. I hid
Wow.
it like, a person would hide heroin addiction.
Oh, geez.
And then
I
I
think that
came
kind of
out
goes
and
hand in
people
hand with
liked
each
it.
other, right? Kind of goes
Well,
hand in hand.
yeah, it turns out I get a lot of good clients, better clients in some ways, because they see I'm really artistic and they know I'm going to give them something special. And if they don't
Right.
want that, you know, it works out.
Right.
And if they do, it kind of works out. I was going to show you one of my songs was uh, Satan Pulls the Strings.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, this is can I flip this so it looks
I think so. I mean, it'll work for the YouTube thing, but not for the radio version, but it's okay. You can describe what we're looking at.
I'll show it to you. Here it is.
Oh, you're not
Can
going
you see
far.
that?
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. That's a contender for a press on thing. But
Oh,
it might be a little strange. And
oh,
then this
I
one
think
over
I
here
like
is
that
called
with the banjo.
did you see this one? This
Okay.
is a David related. That's called Three Can Sam. It's a
Three
toucan
cans
with
in.
3 Coors beers, and it's got a margarita recipe on there that uses beer instead of triple sec. That's our camp margarita recipe. Of course,
Like
I
it.
don't drink margaritas anymore, but I'm still promoting alcohol consumption. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how it all worked out, and it's been really really great for me. I'm living a really creative life. How much time do I have left, Todd?
We got like 12 minutes.
Okay. I mean, one of the things I wanted to tell you about the Avetts is one thing that really sucked me in. Like I said, it's all about. I'm just I love the music, but I really love who they are.
Right.
And
I think that's
what
a
I
huge
mean by
part of it with them.
yeah, they're just they behave differently. I
Yeah.
respect them, and it's really hard to find people who you respect who are like
Yes.
heroes or creative, juice.
Right. They make
Um,
me, I always say this, they make me want to be a better person. And
yeah, I've heard that before. I
I
agree.
don't know that I've ever met anyone, especially musicians, whatever, that make me want to be a better person. It's just weird. And I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
I love it.
I totally agree. And so for me, like there's the Avets, and then there's that part of the inspiration for me. And when I watched the movie May It Last,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I I just deeply identify with when they're doing their first interview, trying to find someone to produce their music
Yeah.
before Rick Rubin, and I don't even know who it was before that, but when they started saying, well, how many of the songs do you write? And they said, we
Yeah.
write them all. And they said,
Yeah.
well, we want you to do some other stuff for the radio, and they got upset and
Yeah, that was
left.
like Sony, I think. That would have been a huge deal for them, but it
Right,
wasn't it with their in their heart. It wasn't what they wanted to
right.
do, obviously. So
And that was a huge, like, to see that, like, both Claire and I, that's my wife, we can identify that with that as entrepreneurs who've had to try and decide whether something is really the right thing
yeah.
versus like maybe a good thing that could suck you in. And when I saw that, I was just like, oh, I really admire people who can do that,
Yeah.
because I've done it, and it takes a lot of courage, and it's very difficult.
Well,
you
how many
know,
people would just jump at the money? They obviously turned down a lot of
most,
money to do what they wanted
yeah,
to do and take a chance
right,
at doing what they wanted to do, which it may not have worked out for them.
right. And sometimes it doesn't, but to really be that person that they are,
Authentic.
I think they were going to do it no matter what.
Yep.
Another thing that I really admired that they did, which I think that they'll probably go down in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for, is I thought they had the most creative solution to the COVID issue when they had their event at the Speedway.
Yep.
That was just, like I said, I looked at Claire. We watched that show. There was a pay-per-view portion,
Sure.
and we were on that. And I just said
Oh,
to
really?
Claire, this is like, uh, I mean, this is shattering the mold.
Yeah.
It's just thinking outside the box.
Yep.
It's very impressive to me.
And
And the crowd,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the way they handled their social media too, with all their, their empty living room concerts, and Seth had his thing where they just performed music constantly to stay out there, and everyone felt even more connected to them because it was
Yeah,
so personal. You were just
yeah,
you're in Scott's living room with him or whatever,
yeah.
listen.
I feel like I've sat around in his barn,
Right.
you know, like after the New Year's concert, I felt
Yep.
like, oh, I'm sitting around in their barn,
Yep. It was
It
so
was
cool. And
really cool.
a lot of artists obviously had to do stuff like that because there was no other choice during COVID. I mean, it was just such a weird time for them where they had nowhere to go.
Right.
That thank God the
You
internet was
know,
around for them to be able to do that. But the drive-in show was groundbreaking. I love that.
another thing that's really weird about them, I think, is that their fan base, like I'm not the kind of person that makes friends easily.
Yeah.
Most of my friends are really old friends that I've had for a long time.
Yeah.
And yet, now with our Depth in the Avett fan group, I just have these wonderful friends that are all over the country. And we see them more than we see people around here because they're always going to stuff.
Yeah.
And so we see them there, and
It's
for me,
family.
that's just kind of weird. It's super awesome to have these friends around.
It is very
And
weird, but it is their family, and you look forward to seeing them. And I think a lot of it has to do with that you guys we think the same way about the music,
Mhm.
the way the band makes you feel. It's just everyone is in the same boat. And
I really like that the band, even though who knows what their political beliefs are, and I'm not going to go into mine, but
right.
what I like is that they don't try to pull people apart.
Yep. Not
They
at all.
try to create connections between people and make it so that we can talk about things. And that's just talking about things. We already know we have this common ground, because it's gotten so polarized here in Boulder that if you say something that someone else thinks politically incorrect, they can't be your friend.
Right. It's not just in Boulder, that's everywhere now, unfortunately. It's like
I
everything
know.
is like that. It's crazy. And I don't want to know their political beliefs. I don't want to know any of that stuff.
No, you don't need to. That's
Yeah,
the point,
there's no
and
reason to. And I'm
and
glad
I
they
can
don't.
accept different people of all different kinds. I
Right.
just love that they
They
are
don't shove
not a
it down your throat.
polarizing.
Right.
Yes, they are a bring together group, and I really like that.
All right. So now we are running out of time. So let's
Yep,
run down your songs that you picked and quickly why you picked them. Do you have your list in front of you?
I sure do.
All right, good. You prepared. Or your wife
Yes,
prepared.
I did. Not I'm not a great preparer, but let's see. So the Avets, my list feels a little bit like greatest hits.
Yeah, it's okay.
But they're things that I liked. In fact, one person asked me what would be my favorite deep cut, and I think I told them a David Childers song that they play. They said that's a cover. I'm like, I know, but I
That's
love
okay.
it.
Yep.
I picked No Hard Feelings, of course, for all the reasons we've already discussed.
Absolutely.
And by the way, you'll have to check out that poster. I ripped some of Scott's ideas off and used them in that poster. It's 2 notepads, and he has some visual notepads that he's painted.
I've
There's
seen that,
it's all about them. That poster's all about them. Satan Pulls the Strings. I just love that song, and it just generates a lot of imagery for me. And
have you watched the YouTube video where they wrote that song? There's a video out there. It's called Devil Song. It was the original title. And it's completely behind the scenes of them putting that song together from like the first notes on his banjo to the song being completed. Check it out. It's really
I haven't seen that. I will check it out.
Yep. Now that I talked about it in front of you, it'll show up on your phone probably anyway, but
yeah, right. Yeah, don't say anything about anything else.
the Avett Brothers Devil Song, look that up and you'll be like,
I
oh,
will.
it's like a 7-minute video. It's awesome. Okay, go
You know
on.
what Claire and I will be doing as soon as we hang up. Good Morning Coffee. I put that in there so it's a little crossover to my other side.
Love it.
When Seth did that album, which we own, I loved it. I'm a huge Greg Brown fan.
Cool.
So and we're also Psycho coffee drinkers, so I love that song. And Murder in the City, it's just like No Hard Feelings. A very good friend of mine who built most of my homes that are were worthy of photographing was murdered by a
Hmm.
young man who was a schizophrenic,
Oh my.
next door to his house working on a thing. And so it carries a lot of meaning to me, and it kind of helped me deal with not really carrying any venomous emotion towards that person. I, I want to see him incarcerated, but I'm not letting him into my mind. And, so that
Sure.
song's really, really a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a little intensity on the top and less intensity on the bottom, although
Okay.
it's heavily rated towards punk. I realized I picked the song Slow Food, which Greg Brown wrote while he was interviewing with Garrison Keillor to become the musical director for Prairie Home Companion,
Okay.
because he said Garrison Keillor talks really slow and is contemplating all the time. I listened to an interview, so I just thought that was funny and kind of a deep cut of his, and it's just great.
Okay. That's
Um,
that's awesome.
uh, Bob Geldof, a great song of indifference. Um, Bob Geldof is just somebody that I often listen to get in a funky mood. He has a lot of songs that really strike me deeply, and if I listen to him, I can always paint something cool.
Very cool.
And
Okay.
same with 20th Century Man, by the Kinks. I mentioned in my text to you my favorite version. I love that song. I love the Kinks, and I love the Muswell Hillbillies version because it kind of harkens to bluegrass a little bit. It's an
Nice.
all acoustic version. And then, of course, I already said John Hartford is one of my all-time heroes. And I picked Good Old Electric Washing Machine because it's just so strange and so great to listen to him. He always writes songs about all kinds of stuff that's just going on, like don't leave your records in the sun. And he's inspired me in so many ways. Like I have buildings that are based on music that I admire, fiddle tunes of his. And when he has a song about writing a love song, I've used that. Uh,
Very cool.
it's in my creative DNA. So I thought people would enjoy hearing how weird he can be.
That's great. I love the eclectic music I get for when I have the guests pick the music because you never know what you're going to get. It's very cool. Quickly, we have less than a minute left here and it just cuts off. So I have to get
Okay.
this. What's your website if people want to go visit, see your artwork? Can they visit a website and see everything or?
Samuel Austin Art, and the other one is Samuel Austin Architecture.
Okay.
That'll get you
.com on both
close.
of those. Samuel Austin
.com.
Art, Samuel Austin Architecture.com. And
Yeah, they're both a little bit works in progress because my daughter's been rebuilding them for me.
okay,
But yeah,
very
and
cool.
Instagram.
And on Instagram too. All right. Well, Sam, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. This was a lot of fun. And
I
I hope you
loved
come
it,
back on
Todd.
someday with me.
Okay,
We'll get
I
you on with
can't wait
Jack
to meet you
sometime,
in
maybe.
person.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. All right. We'll see you down the road. Thank you so
Talk to you
much.
later.
Yep.